putting everything together that the children are actually involved in. Is there someone else who wants to add to that?
When we talk about the performance assessment that in the professional development project, we are talking about integrating instruction and assessment. Well, when you integrate assessment with instruction, instruction occurs throughout the year. And Kathy used the term seamless. So we will be collecting, and students will be collecting, samples of their work throughout the year. Where they put this? You could say they could be putting it into a portfolio.
Good.
And
great.
a portfolio assessment goes along with the word collaboration. And the part of the collaboration that we haven't mentioned earlier, and that is that in true portfolio, true assessment, the child also and the parent become parts of that assessment. And often in teachers and people's definition of portfolio assessment, that does include children looking and telling you things about their own work.
I think what we're all saying is that is a collaborative effort between children, teachers, parents, the community at large, especially children assessing themselves. We have another caller from Montana. Diane from Montana, can you hear me? You have a question?
Yeah.
We're getting feedback on that one. Diane, would
Yes. My question is twofold. First of all, what is the new Title I designation going to do for budgeting in the schools, particularly the small rural schools?
Okay. We are looking at making sure that we drive dollars to where the neediest areas are, and we haven't any proposal that's going to cut out funding to districts that currently are receiving funding. We will be asking that there be within the district that monies be distributed to schools on the basis of the number of poverty children in those schools, although children engaged in Title I, Chapter 1 will still be those children who have educational needs. But we want to assure that there is enough money within the schools to comprehensively address the needs of the children and not having money spread across from school to school. So there'll be some provisions to say, be sure you put enough money in those schools to make sure that the children there receive what they need. Exactly how it would affect your particular school, I think we'd have to know a little bit more about it, but we want to be sure that those places that have the highest poverty have the resources to address the needs of the children, but recognizing that there are kids in need all over this country.
Thank you. Joseph from Denver, Colorado, your question, please.
I have two questions, in fact, if possible. The first has to do with any potential or future recommendations for developing content and performance standards for Even Start programming.
Even Start program?
Performance standards.
For Even Start program. Well, that's a program where we've had a lot of success. We've seen a lot of growth in terms of the parents, the adults, as well as double what we expect of growth for the children. I think we won't be asking that there be different performance standards developed for Even Start or for any federal program than those that the state develops for all children. And some may develop them for very young children, some may not. So what will be developed at the state level in terms of literacy levels for the children or for the adults, if you will be that which the state develops, and there will be a process at the state level to make sure that educators and others and parents are engaged in that process. So I can't tell you what each state will do other than to say that there will be a collaborative process to develop those standards.
Thank you. We are running out of time. I'd like to thank the callers. I'd like to thank all of our panelists. 5 minutes more. One more question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is truly live. Caller, are you still there? From where? We have another caller from North Carolina. Thank you. North Carolina, please, your question. Can you hear me, caller from North Carolina? No? Mary Jean?
Yes.
Connie in Northbrook. Is Connie there from North?
Hello.
Oh, we got you, Connie. Okay.
Good evening. I'm calling from Norfolk State University, and I have enjoyed all of the comments by the panelists, and I'd like to thank them for their input. I thought I heard the panel
suggest something on this idea and would like your opinions, please. Is the community of educators just now realizing that the educational needs of American children, especially the at-risk, might possibly exceed our present training level and capacities and capabilities? And is the panel prescribing staff development to facilitate that?
Dolores, you want?
If I understood the question, it was
Yeah.
about providing staff development
Yes.
for our at-risk. I didn't hear
Yes.
the first part of it. Yes, I think that's a very important component, because here again you're talking about the teacher as learner and new pedagogy. So if you're talking about that, then you will have to have staff development or professional development. I want to say the two because some people use them interchangeably, but others do not. But I think there will be something oncoming for professional development for at-risk learners.
I want to respond by saying, yes, indeed, we will be prescribing, at least from the federal level, that there be resources and a plan to address the needs of teachers and other staff working with our at-risk children, because if in fact they are going to be able to teach to those high standards, we have to help teachers have the knowledge and skills to be able to do that.
I would like to add, too, the Adult and Adolescent Literacy Conference is an excellent opportunity for teachers and for people who are working with adolescents who are at risk to meet other people who are working at this, to look at exemplary programs, to look at the research. And so I would like to encourage people who work with at-risk adolescents to attend this conference.
Thank you. We have one more question and 2 minutes left to answer it. Nicole from Denver, please, your question. Nicole.
Yes, hello?
Hi, we hear you.
Yes, I wondered if you could just talk a little more about combining resources with Chapter 1, dealing with social, emotional things. My experience as a teacher is that a lot of the children are having to deal with more than just the academic areas. Thank you.
Certainly. I think you recognize, as anyone who's dealing with children, particularly in our society today, the needs of the children and the families in the society are complex, and you can't address learning when somebody's hungry, when somebody's upset, when they're abused, etc. So what we would ask is that every school district look at ways they can integrate resources available from other sources to impact on the needs of those children. But we will also make clear that if Chapter 1 has to help do that with its resources, it can, and that in a legitimate use of our Chapter 1 Title I dollars will be to provide facilitators or others who can bring together the resources to impact on the children, taking advantage of that which exists, but recognizing it takes somebody to make it happen for each and every child.
Another type of collaboration.
Another type, a major kind of collaboration.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all of our panelists, Dolores Malcolm for sharing the key elements in education reform movement and the components that can make change effective, Mary Jean Latendra for discussing new directions for legislation that could affect professional development, Kathy Ransom for informing us of the International Reading Association's videotapes, audio tapes, conference programs, and printed materials associated with assessment and professional development for teachers working with all children, especially low-achieving students, and our president, Doris Rutger, for briefing us concerning IRA's endeavors. Now, as in all literacy celebrations, we have a statement from the director of UNESCO, Federico Mayor.
The world around us is continuing to undergo rapid changes and profound upheavals. The old order may have disappeared, but the new one, in the absence of familiar landmarks, still can be clearly distinguished. One thing about our future is nevertheless sure. It will either be a common future or it will be no future at all. It will be a common future if we know how to share our wealth, knowledge, power, and potential. And we shall only be able to do so if we have learned. Education is our only chance today, a supreme opportunity to conquer the great evils of the third millennium: underdevelopment, pollution, overpopulation, and violence. It is obvious that education cannot do everything but although it may be not sufficient in itself, it is vital. Education is the key to curbing population growth. Education is the key for endogenous capacity building. Education is the key for genuine democracy. And the teachers have the key. Through education, we acquire knowledge and the means to learn and to exert critical judgment. Literacy, through which education is transmitted, is therefore a priority, not just for the 950 million adults who are seeking to become literate, but for each one of us too. And each one of us can help.
Today is not only Literacy Day, today is Peter Rabbit's 100th birthday. Thank you, Beatrice Potter, for creating such a wonderful character in literature. International Literacy Day has provided all of us with a moment to celebrate. We celebrate the great strides we've made as a nation in the quality and quantity of printed materials available for students of all ages and abilities. We celebrate the strides made by technological developments that enhance each human being's ability to share and receive information. We celebrate all of you teachers, parents, and caregivers who provide the nurturing necessary to create a desire for books and learning. Literacy is indeed a right of every human being. If teachers honor literacy development, so will their students. If caregivers write and read in order to know the human world, the habit of truth-telling and the joys of living will be strengthened. Strengthening our world by creating a literate society may be the key for peace among all nations. We hope that you've enjoyed and learned from our wonderful panelists. We hope, too, that you will take advantage of the information available to you from our association, the International Reading Association. Thank you all for listening, and have a good evening.